Alright, this is just going to be a video of me talking about how I think they should have booked Brock Lesnar, because they booked him very, very weak, in my opinion. I mean, losing his first match to John Cena when he comes back, and that's just a big fuck you. I mean, really, a big fuck you to the older fans, to people that wanted to see Brock Lesnar, to, the UFC guys, a guy that really kicks some ass, and then they bury him to fucking John Cena. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, this is how I think they should have booked him, and keep in mind, I'm not going to go on about every single match that he does, or, it's just, it's for fun, just the basic storyline and how they could have built him up into the ass kicker that they wanted us to believe that he was in WWE Anyway, this would start off at SummerSlam. You have Triple H, same match, Triple H versus Brock Lesnar, I think it was a street fight, but anyway, or no DQ, it don't matter. But anyway, same match, but into the storyline, they bring up that if Triple H loses, Brock Lesnar gets his job. Make it more interesting. So anyway, they have the match at SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar wins. The next night on Raw, you have Triple H coming out, and he apologizes to the WWE Universe, says he's sorry he couldn't do it, and he gets interrupted by Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman comes out and asks, why is he still there? What's he doing there? You don't work here anymore. Tells him he better get out of the building before he calls security. So he's gone. That gets the heat on both of them. Makes him into a very good heel starting off. So Paul Heyman also says that Brock Lesnar has named him the new Raw General Manager. How badass would that be? But yeah, he is now the new General Manager of Raw. And he is going to book his first main event tonight, which would be Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk for the WWE title. And keep in mind, at this point, CM Punk wasn't a full heel. He was still, he was doing some heelish things, but he was really just stating his opinions on what Jerry Lawler said, like where he turned his back on the WWE, just things like that. But he wasn't really that coward heel at this point like they made him out to be. But anyway, you have this match as the main event on Raw. Some point during the match, CM Punk hits the referee. Referee's down. Paul Heyman gets the belt, slides it in. Brock Lesnar hits him with it. Paul Heyman calls for another referee. 1, 2, 3, there's your new champion right there. Brock Lesnar wins on Raw. They need to have more title matches on Raw as well. That's another thing that really pisses me off. The next Raw, Paul Heyman comes out and says, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new WWE Champion, Brock Lesnar. He comes out, he wishes everybody would applaud for the new champion. Everyone show him great respect. CM Punk comes out, demands his rematch, but Brock Lesnar says he will do it. He will give him his rematch when he feels like it. So throughout the next couple of Raws, you have Brock Lesnar putting CM Punk in a bunch of just different types of matches, like handicap matches, lumberjack matches, just a lot of different different match types, just to make it hard for him going into Night of Champions. But anyway, at Night of Champions, I can just imagine them having a great match, and Brock Lesnar beats him clean. He beats him with the Kimura lock, and that's really it. He beats him with the Kimura lock, just a good clean win. The next night on Raw, you have Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. They're in the ring. They talk how they're going to have a tournament, and whoever wins will be the new #1 contender. But in the meantime, Brock Lesnar wants to prove that he's a fighting champion, and he's going to defend his title every night on Raw. But he gets to choose who he faces that night, and it would be like Zack Ryder, just somebody he knew he could just kick their ass. So during the tournament, I'm not going to talk about all the participants in it, but just as the story angle that I thought of, John Cena, of course. I hate that I got to put him in here, but John Cena would win this tournament. When he wins, he's doing this stupid little "you can't see me" and on the apron and everything, but behind him, Brock Lesnar, F5, bitch. Fuck you, John Cena. That's how I would have done it. So Brock Lesnar's standing over John Cena's body, but from behind, boom, chair shot, it's CM Punk. Fucking awesome. So at the next Raw, you have Paul Heyman out there talking about how Brock Lesnar's not very happy with CM Punk's actions. CM Punk comes out, cuts a promo talking about how he will make Brock Lesnar's life a living hell and Paul Heyman's if he don't get another title shot at Hell in a Cell. Paul Heyman refuses him. Later on in the match, you know, like I said, Brock Lesnar, he's having a match every single week defending his title. He picks like one of the Usos. Just an Uso. Just basically anybody that he could kick their ass easily. So in the middle of the match, CM Punk comes out and starts beating the fuck out of Brock Lesnar again with the chair. You know, he got the win because of DQ, but he just keeps beating the shit out of him. Later on that night, you have where Paul Heyman is in the back, you know, talking with somebody, and you have CM Punk ends up, he has a chair, he tells him if he don't make the match a triple threat at Hell in a Cell, he will, you know, he'll destroy him with the chair. So John Cena comes out and cuts a stupid fucking promo as he always does. It's always the same old shit. But anyway, I'm trying to think in reality how they would do it if they ever did. But anyway, he cuts his promo and he's talking about how it's not fair that CM Punk gets another title shot, even though he's already had his chance. And Brock Lesnar comes out and says it doesn't matter if it's a triple threat, fatal four-way handicap, he will still end up the WWE champion after Hell in a Cell. So anyway, we're here at Hell in a Cell. You have the triple threat in a Hell in a Cell. How badass would that be? But anyway, these guys, they would put on a hell of a match, be a badass main event. And I could see how this would go too. Midway through the match, you would have, you know, everybody hitting their finishers, you know, but 1-2 kick out. But you would have John Cena and CM Punk. These two guys, you would think one of them may win it. But CM Punk puts on the GTS, and you know, it knocks Cena out. He's about to go for the pin. You have Brock Lesnar runs in and puts on the Kimura lock on CM Punk. He doesn't tap, but he thinks he breaks his arm. So you have officials coming out there and they take CM Punk to the back. So now it's just John Cena and Brock Lesnar. And of course this goes back and forth, you know, it just keeps going back and forth. You know, you have some attitude adjustments. You think it's over. He kicks out, but finally he hits him with an F5, maybe even 10 of them. It don't matter. However many it would take to destroy Super Cena. 1, 2, 3. The motherfucker's done. So the next night on Raw, Paul Heyman's out. He addresses the WWE Universe. He says that CM Punk's arm is broken, so he'll be out of action for some time. John Cena comes out, cuts another bullshit promo. So John Cena basically says everybody's tired of Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, but honestly, who would be? And I can hear the crowd now. They would be like, boo! And he would think, yeah, see, they don't like you. But no, they'd just be booing John Cena because that's how Cena is. Everybody would be eating that shit up. They'd be eating up the whole Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman angle. But anyway, he wants one more shot at the title. Paul Heyman says he's already had his shot, so you got to get back in line. Brock Lesnar takes the microphone away from Paul Heyman. He says, no, you get one more shot, John, at Survivor Series, but it's going to be my rules, and it's going to be a street fight. So, see, I mean, I wish they would just build up some of these guys. You know, the heel don't always have to be some kind of pussy, always running away. So anyway, we're here at Survivor Series, street fight, John Cena, Brock Lesnar for the title. They put on, again, a hell of a match. You know, there'd be a lot of close calls for both of them, just putting on one hell of a show. But I could imagine the ending would be Brock Lesnar would have the steps. He'd have the steps in the ring, and he would F5 John Cena, and it would knock him out in 1, 2, 3. Again, that's how you need to build a good heel. They just don't do that anymore. So the next night on Raw, again, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, he talks how he's the greatest champion to ever live. He's glad that he's got the ratings back up. He's glad that you know, he's brought the the attitude back to the the WWE. And then of course John Cena comes out again. John Cena says he's going to stop Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar once and for all, but Paul Heyman says you've already had your shot and you couldn't get the job done twice. It's time to move on. John Cena says he refuses to leave this building until he gets another shot at the title, but Paul Heyman, he suspends him. And of course the crowd would go crazy. You are suspended. So security come out, take John Cena, and of course John Cena would be doing that Super Cena thing where he's trying to shove security off to get to the ring. But they finally get him, they throw his ass out, and everybody loves it. So once Cena's gone, Paul Heyman says they're going to have another tournament for a shot at the WWE title. And keep in mind, this was also when Ryback was getting a lot of reaction, and the crowd started liking him. So they would have their tournament. Ryback wins. Ryback wins it. Brock Lesnar comes to the ring. He extends his hand. He wants him to shake it. He goes to shake his hand. He picks him up. F5's Ryback. And then from the crowd, again, this is just something I could see them doing, John Cena comes out of the crowd with a ticket. Just some bullshit Super Cena stuff. Comes out of the crowd with a ticket and shows it to Brock Lesnar and just starts trying to beat the shit out of him. I have to put some of this shit in here to make it more realistic how I know WWE is. So next Raw, Paul Heyman comes out and says he wants to congratulate Ryback for winning the tournament. Ryback comes out and says he doesn't appreciate the attack that Brock Lesnar put on him, but he said it won't matter because at TLC he will become the new WWE champion. So during Brock Lesnar's match against Heath Slater, we'll just say Heath Slater, Ryback comes out. He doesn't attack Brock Lesnar. He's just, up on the ramp, just playing mind games, just kind of distracting him. Anyway, Brock Lesnar beats Heath Slater, and they stare each other down. Next week on Raw, Ryback, he opens up the night. He's facing somebody. Brock Lesnar does the same thing, distract him, just kind of playing mind games with each other. I think this would be a good feud to do, but just don't let them, it's heated, but it's not, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I'm not going to back down. That would be a good start of this feud, I think. But anyway, at TLC, Brock Lesnar beats him clean. I mean, we'll say it's I'm not going to say a ladder match because I just don't know if that would be very, very good for these guys. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just a TLC match. So the next night on Raw, Brock Lesnar comes out and says, where's the competition? He's tired of beating the same guys over and over again. He wants somebody that's really real competition. So we'll say Dolph Ziggler, he comes out and says he'd like a title shot tonight on Raw. People go crazy. They have the match. He beats Dolph Ziggler clean. And during these last they're also hyping up the Royal Rumble match, who's going to be in it. But during this, I mean, he's beating more than just the jobber guys that he was beating, previously. He'd be facing guys like Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Kane. He's been beating all the mid-carders, everybody that there is to beat. And he keeps coming out there saying there's no competition. And then The Rock's music hits. People go fucking ape shit over that. And says the only man he's not beat. Well, actually, he wouldn't even say anything. He'd get in the ring, they'd stare each other down. The Rock would just rock bottom him. So The Rock comes out and does his thing, all of his things the fans love. But he comes out and says he's not had a title shot since SummerSlam, and it's been too damn long. And he said it would be perfect to beat his candy ass at the Royal Rumble. So during the last couple of weeks, The Rock wouldn't be there, as he wouldn't. It's just Brock and Paul Heyman hyping the Royal Rumble match that they're going to have. It's just a singles match. There's no stipulation or anything, but just the same. Brock Lesnar be coming out there talking about how he's beat The Rock before at SummerSlam and just different things. And that's basically all it would be, just hyping up the match. And then the match itself, you have the Royal Rumble match, these two going on, and it would be a fantastic, fantastic setup too. But anyway, they're going at it. You think The Rock has it, around the end of the match. You think he's got it won. John Cena comes back. He runs down, and he starts beating the shit out of Brock Lesnar. The Rock's pissed off, and he just rock bottoms him. He costed Rock the match. So the next night on Raw opens up with The Rock talking about how he's not happy that John Cena costed his shot at the title. He's pretty angry with him, and he deserves another title shot. Brock Lesnar comes out. He says he don't get another title shot. John Cena comes out, says he deserves a title shot. So Paul Heyman says that he's going to put them in the Elimination Chamber. Like instead, they did like a one-on-one match this year, but I think it would be better if they did it this way. It would be, you'd have Brock Lesnar, you'd have The Rock, you would have John Cena, and whoever else. And this would be just them cutting promos back and forth. You would know it would be one of these three guys going in, coming out of the chamber champion. But anyway, we're just going to cut to Elimination Chamber. You got these three guys, the other guys, whoever it would be. You knew they wasn't going to win, but you wouldn't know who was going to win between these three. But anyway, John Cena and The Rock, there'd be a point in the match where Brock Lesnar's not in there. You have Rock, and he hits John Cena with the rock bottom and pins him 1, 2, 3. John Cena's out. And then you have Brock Lesnar and The Rock left again. They're going at it back and forth. You think Brock Lesnar has it. He counters the F5 with the DDT. And, it just goes back and forth. You just don't know who's going to win it. Finally, he hits him with the rock bottom, a people's elbow, maybe 2 or 3. He wins the title that way. The Rock would win the title that way. So that way you would have a strong champion from SummerSlam up, and he would lose it at the Chamber. And I mean, there would really be nobody left to beat for the title. So, and keep in mind, I'm not going with this whole, this is all Brock Lesnar's story. So, the next night, I know they do this sometimes just because they're eager to have like a certain storyline going on. So, the next night, Brock Lesnar comes out and says he's beaten everybody. There's nobody left for him to beat. There's no challenge left in the WWE. He did everything he set out to do, so he's done. He's just done with it all. And he said it was just too easy, just cutting a really good promo. He's about to say goodbye. The lights go out. The lights come back on. There's an urn in the middle of the ring. And that's how they would build this up. It'd just be mind games for a little while, but because Undertaker wouldn't come out right then. And then, between the urn and then maybe the next week, he says he's not intimidated by him. They wouldn't say his name right off. And the lights go out again. The Druids come out. Later on maybe that Brock Lesnar has a match with somebody. The lights go back off, and maybe, I don't know, they just keep flickering or something. I don't know. But finally, he says if he's going to show his face, he better do it. You better come out. The lights go off, and it's finally, he's in the ring. He just beats the shit out of Brock Lesnar. And that's how they could build this up. And he just beats the shit out of Brock Lesnar. And then maybe the next week, he hits him with an F5. And then, of course, where Paul Bearer, he passed away around that time, maybe they would even build that up into the angle. I know the whole CM Punk thing would have been awesome, too. And I didn't bring him back in like that. Of course, he would have like a great match with somebody else, but this is just how I think they could have done it. But anyway, Brock Lesnar, that would be a good way to end it with Brock Lesnar. Have him go out. You think that he would be the guy to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. And of course, he wouldn't. He'd go on to be 21-0. And that would be your send-off with Brock Lesnar. Now keep in mind, I didn't talk about everything because it'd take, that'd be a long fucking video. This is probably long enough as it is, but yeah, keep in mind, that was just for fun. I know that Brock Lesnar wouldn't have like a real long-term contract like that, but just it's fun to think about and just imagine how badass that would have been. I mean, they could have built up a good heel where, if he got it would be kind of like how Triple H was back in the early 2000s, where, you know, he would defend the title on Raw sometimes, and, you know, he would just get clean wins.